Back on the Pop A ride coming at you from Richardson, Texas, just north of Dallas. One of the best rides in all of America. It has been dutifully noted in all major publications. Well, no major publications, no publications at all. But we do enjoy this ride. So I guess the major news that has come out since my last video of the Pop ride has been that some members of Pop, or Pop Riders as we may call them, are putting together a new jersey. A jersey just for Pop Riders that has the Pop A emblem and popsicles on the jersey, and it says, everything you have heard is true. I think referencing the notoriety or controversy or whatever it is people talk about the ride. They put together this really awesome jersey through partnering with Eliel. I have nothing to do with the design, nor the conception, nor even the coming about of this jersey. It had been my idea in the past that I had shared maybe with one or two, or I don't know how many people, that it would be cool to have a Pop jersey. I don't know if that circulated to the people that actually came up with the jersey on the ride. I don't think it did. So I can't take any credit for the jersey. And it's a pretty cool looking jersey. It's white. I'm gonna get myself a jersey, and so in the future you're gonna see at least a few people wearing a Pop A jersey. So this comes, this, I mean, this, well, we have to say, how many group rides have their own jersey? Well, certainly there are some, I think. And I can think of maybe one other one in the local area that has that. Uh, and maybe the Rudy ride, which I've never done, but I think they may have their own jersey. But is this cool? Is this lame? Um, I think my answer is C. I don't care what people think, if it's cool or lame. It's just if the people enjoy doing it and it's part of living life and enjoying things and you want to do it that way, I think it's awesome. And I think it's good to feel proud of the community that you are part of. And frankly, this ride is a community of sorts. It's a group of people who often get together. We suffer, we test each other, we take care of each other, and that's a community. That's a community. And a community can have a bit of an identity. Part of that identity can be wearing some laundry that identifies you as part of that community. So I think it's pretty cool. Now, I haven't put together some Pop rides for a while. Part of the reason was, well, the main reason, the only reason, was that my bike was in the shop, my regular bike that I normally ride. So I was having to go back to my prior bike that doesn't have the GoPro mount on it. I'd left the mount on my other bike that was in the shop. Took a while to get my bike fixed, but thank you to Cadence Cyclery for replacing the rivets on my water bottle cage that had popped out. So pro tip, I suppose my sin in this regard was putting Loctite on my screws for my water bottle cage because I was sick of them coming loose. Not, I put on blue Loctite. I thought it would be fine, but I think the rivets are not strong enough such that, you over torque it or you untighten it and it pops the rivet out, and then you're screwed. Anyway, the problem with that was my water bottle cage was, I could neither get it off, I could neither tighten it nor get it off, and it was just rattling around like crazy. So it wasn't like my bottle was going to fall out or the cage was going to fall off, but it sounded like a rattle trap, and it was awful. And thought about trying to fix it myself, but Cadence Cyclery was able to do it at a very, very reasonable, generous price. And now I have a bike that's not rattling at the water bottle cage, it's rattling for other reasons. Actually, I have a creaky bottom bracket, and I know what the problem is. Every month or so, I have to take off my crank, grease my bottom bracket, put it back together, and I don't know why I have to do it so frequently, but otherwise, and that stops the creaking. Don't know why it's the case that I keep having to do that. But anyway, Specialized LA Sprint. I'll do a video at some point showing the bike. Um, It's a good bike. I've enjoyed the bike. And I'll do a video at some point showing the bike, which I would call world's cheapest quit bike. At least cheapest for, well, it's not the cheapest, but it's a cheap version of a crit bike relative to perhaps some people who spend more money. All things being relative, what I call cheap in another person's universe is terribly, terribly expensive. So on this ride, let's talk about this ride. We're back to this ride. So it was a hot, hot day, muggy, I would say as well. And I had been off the bike since the previous Saturday. So the last time I had ridden was just 1 hour on the trainer or so on Saturday. And then I had taken Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off the bike because I was on vacation. I took my bike with me on vacation, but did not have the opportunity to ride in a where you didn't fit with family plans so much. And I know that's rare for me. Family plans usually bend to my riding schedule, but um, and also was doing some fishing and other stuff, and um, didn't entirely have confidence that I could be safe on those roads in Oklahoma. I did want to get out to the Talamina Scenic Drive, which was not that far away from where I was staying, but it was an hour's drive away, and there were some logistics and squabbling back and forth about how I would get there and how I would get back and that kind of thing. So instead, we decided to do a family hike, and being that I wasn't getting any work done, I wanted to make the hike interesting and challenging. That's another story, but that hike was an adventure. So uh, not everyone on the hike was quite as fit as perhaps I had thought, but we won't discuss that. I was gonna say we're gonna get into that later. We will not discuss that. And so what happened on this ride? So I wasn't sure how the legs would feel. Usually when I take some time off, and I can't. It's hard for me to remember the last time I took 4 days off in a row. Usually when I take a little bit of a break, I don't feel better. When I come back, I feel worse. But well, I think this ride ended up fine for me in terms of the legs feeling okay. And I guess the other major development in my life has been no air conditioning in my house for about a week. Of course, I was on vacation for most of that time, so it wasn't too bad. But we had at least, a couple of days before we left on vacation with no air conditioning, and got back from vacation to a house that was very hot. Start time, just before 6 p.m. I was putting on my kit. It was 90 degrees inside the house. I was sweating. The kit is tight. I'm fat. Whatever. It was really hard to even get the kit on. It was with the sweat. It was stuck to my legs. I had to pull it up. I was afraid I was going to rip my kit putting it on. So it actually felt cooler on the ride. You're actually getting a little bit of a breeze on the ride when you're going. At least you're creating your own breeze. So, um, and let's see. So what happened on this ride? I guess the major development, and I'm not going to talk over the whole ride. I don't have the time or energy for that. Neither probably do you. But what happened on the ride was kind of interesting, I guess, was, and we'll get to it later on Renner. And it was tough getting to Renner, I would say, at least for me. But at that point on the beginning of Renner, I had some rest, maybe you could say. And then we hit Breckenridge Hill, and I felt like I wanted to test my legs a little bit. There were a couple riders up the road, and this was after the Armenian, had put in a huge effort on what we call the summer special segment. So that's where Murphy Road turns right onto Renner Road. This is, of course, the ride is at least 2/3, 3/4 done at that point, just to give you an idea of where it is in the video. And to the first light after you turn right on Renner, and we called that segment on Strava. It's called Summer Special. And Alvin got the KOM on that, so he was just blazing off the front. When I saw him make that turn, I was like, there goes, he's like freaking Superman flying across the road. And he had a huge gap, and then he hit the red, and so we're all back together. And then A guy went off the front. I think it's the guy in the Tulsa Tough Kit, and I'm afraid I don't know his name. I should learn his name. Kimmeth went chasing after him, and then the group kind of just stayed together as we're rolling a little bit downhill towards the beginning of Breckenridge Hill. At the bottom of Breckenridge Hill, I decided that I'm going to put in a little bit of an effort, and we quickly closed the gap to those two guys that were off the front, Kimmeth and the other guy. And I was just not sure what I was going to do at that point. I wasn't super motivated. Usually we hit that light red, and I wasn't pedaling too hard once I caught up to them. But then Clint, who had been on my wheel as I had made that move, he pulled through, and I just jumped on his wheel and just decided to follow him. And then we went on a little adventure together. So we made the light green. I don't know if the group actually made the light green. I don't think they did, because it had been a long green. And we just proceeded to freaking hit every single light green, except for the last one on Renner right before the end in Tom Thumb. So I don't know that I've ever hit so many greens in a row on Renner Road. And so I actually did a PR for a longer segment, not because we were going super fast, but just because I didn't hit any lights. And that was kind of fun. So, although in some sense it's more fun to ride together, but Clint and myself, two-man quote-unquote breakaway, if you want to call it that. I guess, there have been some questions about what's the purpose of posting a group ride onto YouTube? Well, that begs the question of what's the point of YouTube at all? And, is there some distinction where people should only post races and not post group rides? I guess, I don't know. There's haters everywhere that have an opinion about this or that, or, should you, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mainly am doing this for myself, not the voiceover. The voiceover is, I guess, for the purpose of the channel, but the point of posting the rides has been just documenting the rides. And I don't know if there's any point to it, but I had thought that years from now, when perhaps I'm not riding or I'm dead or something, well, I won't be going back to watch the videos when I'm dead, I presume, but that it might be fun to look back and see what happened and what I did and have some record of the fun that we had and the stuff we did. And from a practical standpoint, there are people that want to see what their form is on the bike, like what does their fit look like. Some people just enjoy seeing themselves on the ride. There's a story to every ride, perhaps, that could be described, and everyone's a little bit different, although themes run the same in terms of, what parts of the road, how fast, segments, and so forth. So it's all for fun, and that's the whole point of it. So I'll just leave it at that. We'll cut off the video for now, not the video, but the commentary, and I'm way behind on other videos that I need to work on, including the last race I did, which there were some lessons learned, and I'll go over that hopefully in the not too distant future. But anyway, thanks for dropping by, and if you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. Once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will get something like $2 a month to support this ugly habit of posting up group rides. So getting closer and closer. I figure in a couple years I may be at that point, 1,000 subscribers. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks for coming by. Bye.
Plus my house doesn't have air conditioning. Cool. Right then? Just 90 when I left the house.
So much for buying a little portable.
We just are borrowing it tonight.
Yeah.
It's hard to get the kid on. It was like stuck to my calves. I have 3 kids.
Oh,
I
really?
was saying it was hard to get my kid.
Oh, kid.
on.
Kid. I think it's a kid. That's the bulging calves, you know?
It's- the sweat was just stuck.
Oh, man. That's in there. Oh, what's up? Still got it, huh? Did you buy it? Good pup. Is that like a year-long test drive? You gonna use it and then after a year tell me you like it? I want next year. Yeah. I want next year. Head go sucker. Here in a counter floor.
bad when someone says, are your cameras rolling? And then 30 seconds later they say, oh, is that guy in the such and such jersey? He's not here. Good. I'm like, is that guy who has the other color, that jersey, is he watching the videos? You gotta be careful what you say, right? Wow, we hit all the lights. Nice work, Clint. You did the lion's share of that. seconds is 30 seconds, you know? I'll see you next time. See ya.